Our students, Brian Proctor, the art teacher, back again with another video. And let me ask you this one quick question. Have you ever gone to a movie and come out and your emotions were just all stirred up? I mean, you were just fired up because the hero saved the galaxy, or he got the girl, or he killed the dragon, or he rescued the hostage, or whatever the case may be. You were just so fired up. You were like, man, that's a good movie. I got to see that again. Well, this is the same way your book should affect people. And I'm going to talk to you today about ways that you can get your book to bring out the emotions in people. Your book should not be just something that you just flip through the pages. Every time they turn the page, they should be like, wow, ooh, ah, look at that, and bring some type of emotion out. So we're going to talk about that, how you can do that in your book today. So let's go over to the drawing table and get started. Okay, so as I said before, if you've ever gone to a movie and you came out feeling just so hyped and so great about that movie, saying, man, that movie's so good, I have to go see that again. Now, how is it that this movie brought out those emotions in you? You know, it's not like you were there and you were like helping fight, you know, the bad guy or solve the mystery or whatever, but yet it just stirred up these emotions and they just stayed with you and they lasted with you. And that's because of the way that they put you in the film. And you weren't actually in the film, but it's the way that they directed it so that you can see it. So when that battle was going on, you were right there in between those guys. Or when you were flying in that spaceship or that airplane, you were like hanging out the side, looking how far up you were. Those are the ways that they draw the emotions out of you. And those are the same ways that you can do in your book to pull out emotions from somebody. So when they finish your book, they'll be like, man, that book is good. Let me go read that again. And that's what you want in all of your books. So we're going to talk about that. And the way they do that is by the way, as I said, that you see how they put you into that, how you see everything that's going on from the different views that you draw from or draw in your book. So we're going to talk about these three. So you have the bird's eye view, you have the normal view, and you have the worm's eye view. Now for you artists, this is your first time, the bird's eye view is a view you see when you're above somebody, like flying like a bird, so you're always looking down. The normal view is when you're face to face. And the worm's eye view is like if you're a worm on the ground looking up at somebody. So we're going to go over these three things, and we're going to talk about how you can pull out emotions by using those three views. So we're going to talk about the normal view first. And as I said, the normal view is when you are basically face to face with somebody. So if you have your character here, and he's talking to another character here, your camera view is going to be right here. So basically, if you were here, if you were there, let's get a pencil. If you were there, you would be right here looking or listening to the conversation. The invisible you would be right here. So you are in the normal view. All right, I had to get my glasses. I was rushing because I was trying to get my glasses. So if these guys were just talking to one another from the camera angle, and everything is pretty much like a camera, just like filming a movie, is where you place your camera. Like that. So that camera line is right there. So you are right there too as a viewer. You are right here, or you could be right here, or you could be right there. But either way, you're right face to face with these people. So it puts you into the conversation. You're right there with them. You're hearing everything they're saying. You just can't add your own thoughts or to the conversation. So I mean, it doesn't have to be close up. It could be far away. Let's say your character's here and I'm drawing with a pen. And you're like way over here. Well, you're going to be way over here, but you're still in that room with these guys. You're not above them. You're not below them. You're still in that line. So your characters could be, small or way back in the room. You're still there. Let's switch because the ink pen makes too many lines. So your characters can be way back here somewhere, and you could be like way over here, up here, but you're still looking at these guys. So your eye line would be here, and it would match their eye line as well. And that's how it's one way how you do foreground and background. It's just a perspective thing. Or if you want to do the top of the head, say like this is you here, and this is the top of your head on that line. You can put the top of their heads like that. As long as they are on the same line, you are there with them. Like that. You're in the room, you're just far away from them, but you're still there. You're still on that in that normal view where you see these guys, you're with these guys, you're part of them, you're part of the conversation, you see what's going on. So whatever they're saying, no, you're saying this, you're catching on too. So that's your normal view. It's just you're there sharing everything with them. All right, now I know I was saying that, you know, they're in the room. I mean, you could be outside as well. Just as long as you are right there face to face with people. Let's say here's your car, and here's a crowd of people, and they're on the sidewalk and they're walking by, and you know, here's another car over here, a little bigger, passing by. And just say here's your people on your sidewalk. Here's your buildings, or whatever type of buildings. And you, as long as you're here, you could be, the reader could be here or here, but you're on that same line with these people. So you're there. You could be right there in between the cars. You know, you can draw a big car here. Well, you won't be between the cars. You'll always be in front of it, because you won't be able to see behind that car. So you draw a big car right here. Guys driving the car. And then, of course, again, you're here. You're on that same line. He's lower because he's sitting down in the car, but you're there in all of the action. So that it brings out that emotions because you're there. You're like, hey, you know, I'm here right here with these guys. So that's one way to bring out emotion. And that's your normal view, just eye to eye with everybody. You're not above these guys. You're not below these guys. So you're right there in the mix of it all. So this guy would have to be in front of the car. This was the reader. He would have to be in front of the car looking at everything that's going on. Okay, so I took the time and I inked this real quick. I inked it off camera because it would have took too long because it was just a messy ink. So what you have here, when you open up your book, let's just say you open up your book and then you're here on this crowded, busy street. You're right here in the bunch. You're kind of like right here, trying not to get hit by a car. So things like that, it bring out emotion. The first thing you're like is, whoa, okay, I'm on this crowded street. I'm a little close to this car. You know, so is the next scene going to be I'm going on the sidewalk? But this right there brings out just a little bit of emotion because, you know, you're on this crowded, busy street, you know, so you kind of feel like I'm in a rush or, you know, there's just so many people. There's cars all over the place. You kind of almost hear the noise. You hear them walking, the car horns blowing. So just by where you are placed in the panel, it brings out some type of emotion. So that's your normal view. Let's go on to the worm's eye view. All right, let's do this. Let's start this. Try this if I can figure this out. I see it in my head, but it might be harder to do. Have you ever stood next to, right below a tall building? Just you're down here, and you're looking up at this tall building, and you're like, man, that building is just huge. You know, it's just so high up there. What does it make you feel like? It makes you feel small. It makes you feel like you don't have that much power. It towers above you. It makes you feel that this thing is just so strong because it's like way above you. It just makes you feel small, helpless, powerless because this thing it's just so strong. It's just so big. It just towers above me. And that's the way the worm's eye view should make you feel, especially when you're drawing a character. If you draw like the bad guy or the monster or the planet about to come and crush, another planet. That gives you that emotion. By being below something, it gives you that emotion of being powerless or small or helpless. And I guess that's when we were young, and mom or dad would like hold our hands, and we were down here, and they would seem, so strong because they were bigger than us. So we would always look up at them and like, oh, my mom, she's so strong. My dad's, he's strong. He could do anything because we were so small. And as we grow up, we just grow up. I was going to throw that in there, but I don't know. I lost that one. But yeah, you become a little more stronger yourself as you grow up. And then, next point. All right, so the worm's eye view is the camera's always going to be below you, looking up. That is the thing for the worm's eye view, because you're down on the ground, just like a worm looking up at everybody about to step on them. So if you want your character, if you want to bring out like emotions and have like the first appearance of like the bad guy or the monster coming into the room, you have to draw that character above the hero. Let's use the hero and the villain thing. You have to draw him above the hero. Now you don't have to draw him so way up high like this. He's like floating in the air, and the hero's down there. But you put him on the same plane, and then you draw the big. And I'm trying to think of just a way to do that. And see, my brain is right now still on like normal view, but stepping ahead. It's perspective. Those perspective lines have to come down even with your character. They have to come down like that. So you're going to be here. Or the character could be like here. And the villain, it doesn't have to be that big. Let's just make him a little bigger, though, but not quite that big. Let's say it's a doorway, and that's what I was trying to get, the whole doorway thing. Right off, that gives that number one, he's bigger, but number two, he's below him, below that character, which immediately says, wow, this guy's bigger than me. He's more powerful than me. I'm about to get whooped up on here. Okay, so now this is okay, but this is not the gut-wrenching worm's eye view emotional drawing that I wanted to show you. So let's do this. As soon as I tear myself out of trying to make this a little better. Let's do this. Let me explain a little better. Let's say there's a flagpole. There's a flagpole. Here's your flagpole right here. There's no flag on your pole, okay? There's no flag on your pole. There's no flag on the pole. Let me check, because I've zoomed my camera in, so I want you to try to see all that. Now this flagpole is painted with stripes. There's a stripe every 5 inches or whatever, all the way up, all the way down. Okay, there's your flagpole and its stripes. So when you get to that flagpole, let's say you're standing here, you're walking to this flagpole. So this is going to be you from behind. Here's your ears, here's your neck, here's your back. You have no shirt on because there's your spine. So you go to this flagpole, right? And you're standing in front of this flagpole. It's a really thick flagpole. Now, when you, at eye height, if your eyes were here, you will see a stripe that looks like this. Now, as those stripes go higher, if you look up, as those stripes go higher, they're going to start to curve around. The higher they get, the more they're going to curve around. And just like lower, the lower they get, they're going to curve the opposite way. When you look up at that flagpole, it's going to look like that. These stripes are going to curve because you're looking up at them. And because you can't look under them, because you're not able to see like that, you won't see the rest. But you will see this part of it curve up. So you got that. But the one that's face height is going to be straight across. The one at the very top is going to be round like this. This is going to be your very top, and then your ball is going to be here, and you're going to see under the ball like that. You're going to see that light source is going to be here. Maybe it's going to be dark over here because the light is on the opposite side. Like that. That's going to be that ball at the top. This is going to be your stripes coming down. And of course, it's going to fold when you do the extreme. Did you see any of that? When you do the extreme, it's going to come out like this. Now, when you have a character, or from a worm's eye view, number one, you will never see the bottom of this pole. Let me pull back because it's going to be hard for me to do. All right, so like I was saying, you will never see the bottom of this pole because number one, you're looking up. So in order to see the bottom of the pole, you would have to look down, and then you're looking from a different view. So if that happened, I think it's called the fish eye view or something like that. So it would have to go something like this and go straight down to the bottom. And that's just something that you don't, you're not going to do fish eye view or something, because fish eyes are round. So it would be like that. And that's just a weird kind of view. I mean, unless you're doing a book or an angle that calls for stuff like that, like you're in Doctor Strange's house or something, then you would get those kind of, curved kind of views like that. But for a worm, if this was the ground and this was your worm, you would never see the actual ground because you're the worm. So this is the worm's head. So he's always looking up. So you won't see the ground because you can't see the ground because from that view you are the worm, so you can't see what's below you. Now if you did the normal view and you put the worm here and your head was down here, yes, you would see the ground, but we're talking about the worm's eye view going up. And anything that's going up that's really high is going to get narrow. It's like a long triangle like that. So you have to remember that. So if this worm was right here, his view would be kind of like this. If this is the worm's head, his view would be like that. Put a little worm eye up here. His view. So this would be your panel like this, the worm looking up. So going back to what I was saying originally about this being okay, but not what I want. So now that you understand that anything that you're looking up at is going to have a curve. So of course the body is curved. Let's do this. Let's do what? It's hard for me to see it. I have to see it before I can start drawing it. But the body is curved. Well, let's do this. Let's do the beetle. Here we have that. This is the beetle. So here's your chest. Here's your shoulders, your delts, arms, and abs right there. Okay, so now all these are put in lines, and because the line's going straight across, that means you're standing right here looking at this guy. Now if I lean this guy up, or if you're down looking at this guy from down below the worm's eye view, all these would start to curve like that. Same way that pole, you look at that pole, and then when you look at that pole going up, it starts to curve. Same thing with the body. You can still do the beetle technique with these lines, but then because this is a ball, and if you put a line on that ball, it's going to curve just like that. And so with the arms will curve too. You have that curl around the arms. that ball here, that cylinder there, that cylinder here, that the waist, where the belt goes. I don't know what that's called. And you can only go so far because you won't be able to see the legs, the feet, should I say, not the legs, the feet. And it's gonna come bigger as it goes down because it's got to go more narrow as it goes up. So if he's looking down at you, it's going to be like that. But if he's just looking up, you have the neck, you have the chin, it comes out like that, and then the head. And as I say, you'll never see the feet because everything just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So the feet won't be way out here unless he's floating in the air. That's the only way you'll see the feet. So when you are going to draw this again, you have to curve the body. And then to put the emotions, to actually draw out the emotions, you have to put the person right up in the face of the characters. Let's give you an example. If you went outside and you saw across the street your next door neighbors were fighting, the husband and wife were fighting, you'd be like, oh, okay, they're fighting. But if the husband grabbed the wife by the neck and threw her down on the ground, you'd be like, oh, this guy, he's serious, he's mad. You know, you still wouldn't be, too much emotionally into it. But if she jumped up off the ground, ran across the street, and ran behind you and said, help me, protect me, she's back here hiding, wanting you to protect her, then your emotions come out. You'd be like, wait a minute, because now you're in the middle of it. So now the husband is here, and he's like, oh, you the one that, messing with my wife? So now you're stuck in the middle of it. Now you got to fight. So yeah, that brings your emotions out when you are in the middle of it. So the closer you put your character, or the more dramatic angles you put your character, the more emotion that comes out with the drawing. And that's what you want. You want your book to be just all that. But people see that and like, okay, that book was so good, I'm gonna look at that thing again. And this is you standing here. You already see that. That's covered up. You're stepping back, and then here's her hand. She's like looking here, and she's looking at you like, help me. Actually, this is the other hand. So yeah, you'd have to put the person in the middle of the action. So let's do this again. If I can do this again. So in order to do that, see, this one, you would see the guy's feet. So that's basically like you just pull back from that. You'd never see the guy's feet on that if it's a worm, because you'd have to be doing an upshot. So let's try this. So here is this. And then here's that. This guy's arm is back here, here. And then you have this guy here. Remembering that to put his head, that he's going to be above this guy. And I could probably make this even more extreme than this. This is why you do your sketches, you do your roughs. Again and again and again. And you notice all these are cylinders. These are cylinders here, here, and then you put the doorway here so you can put his hand here. This. The problem is with this one, once again, I can lower it, is that when I get down here, his legs are really not above me. So you'd have to stop it right here, though, to be honest. And here's the other part of the doorway. Now that's a little better because you're getting a little closer here, from here to here. Now let's see if I can make that more of an extreme thing, because I don't want to say it's been a minute since I did some crazy extreme stuff. But it's been a minute since I've done some crazy extreme, because I've been teaching more than I have been drawing, which is I got to get back to drawing. So once again, let's try if I make that a little more extreme wormy shot. All right, now I see what I was doing, which was good and bad. But in an extreme view, especially a worm's eye view, the character has to go back, basically. Because when you're looking up at something, everything kind of goes back like that. So I had this guy leaning forward. So that is going to work if you are trying to get this particular view, or this particular, what's the word? If it calls for this shot, this angle, yeah, that works. But in order to do an extreme bird's eye view, you have to, the character has to go back. It has to go back, and that's kind of hard to do if you're going to have the guy leaning forward. That's like almost impossible to do if you're going to have the guy leaning forward, because he has to lean back to do this extreme shot. And then this is going to be wider as well. So that kind of takes away from the muscularity of the guy. If he's looking down. Not saying it can't be done, but if you want the guy leaning over, the cat, then you'd have to do that and maybe put the camera here, but then you could not get the person here, because remember, wherever the camera is facing, if the camera is facing this guy, you can't see this guy in the back. So the only thing you could do with something like that is this. And then here's the doorway again. Let's just say this is in the doorway, but instead of leaning to like grab the guy, he's kind of like leaning up, almost like blocking the doorway. And then the guy's head would have to be here, and then his back, spine, shoulder, or the delt. Like that. Now, if I started leaning him forward, let's do this. I leaned him forward. Now, so this is going to be his jawbone here. Of course, as you say, he's looking up, so all his lines are going to be curved. As you say, as I say, it's going to be curved. But if I lean him forward, let's try, let's see. Always start with the torso. His head is going to be here, center line. But now you're kind of looking, you're still looking up, but it kind of changes the proportion, changes the thing. And that's getting to be the same thing as that. But let me finish this because I'm doing this. So the only thing that's changed is, let's just say here's the neck. Collarbone, shoulders. Doorway. way. It's a big door. All right, so that is basically the same thing. You're just getting closer, but the camera is more here looking up that way. Now, I don't know if I said it or not, but I may have, but the closer you put your person, the closer you put the reader into the story, the more emotions you'll bring out. Because if you're far back, like I said, if you're across the street and you see your neighbors fighting, it really doesn't do anything for you. But if you are right there in the middle of it, then it brings the emotions out. So the closer you can bring the person to the action or to the story, then the better it will be, or the more emotions it would be. So looking at this, as I'm looking at it, if your camera is down here, let's just say your camera's down here, however camera would be pointed this way. Looking up, this guy, all this has to be round on this guy as well. So the problem is, once you get past his knee, then you're below the camera, then you're starting to come out from the worm's eye, because you're looking down into this joint here. So if this was his knee and it comes down, if he had like a boot on, it would look like that, or some socks or whatever. So you want to avoid having to look down. You always want to look up, just like the flagpole. You want to look up. And then when it starts to make that curve to go down, you want to end it like right there. So the camera's going to be right here. Right there, actually looking up. So yeah, you want to avoid that. So if I cut it, I would cut it like right here. If I did a panel. And since it's a doorway, I want to show some of the doorway. So I would end my panel right here. And then, again, showing some of the doorway. If the doorway was here, I would end my panel like right here, showing that he is in the doorway. So if you cut all of that out, you have a better upshot looking at. But the thing is, because he's leaning, it changes the angle of that pole. So if that pole was coming up and then leaning like that, you'd have this, and then it starts to lean, and then you get more like that, because here's the little thing on top of the pole, the little circle on top of the pole. So yeah, it's just things that you have to watch out for when doing the worm's eye view. And so remember, the worm's eye view is you're always below the character, which makes the character look more powerful, which takes away takes away your power. Let's just say, it's one more quick example. If this was the doorway itself, and then the guy was here, then you could do that. Chess. Like he's over you. This would have to be wider than that, and that kind of takes away from somebody who has a wide lats and chest and so forth, because your legs are bigger. But for proportion or perspective wise or camera view wise, you'd have to do that. So you just have to kind of like watch how you want to position your characters. So let's make that the doorway there. The ball, the cylinder, and I'm going to get into, I started doing, what was it called, how the first steps to drawing the squares, and I'm going to do cylinders next. A few more squares, but the next one is going to be cylinders. And then if the guy was looking at you, you bring his chin down into his chest. Like that, a little neck in the back. And he would look something like this. You won't see the shoulders. You might not see any shoulders. A little bit. The arm comes out, and that's just a cylinder. That part is a cylinder. You get his lats. Even the stomach's going to be round. Coming down here. Like that. Like that. So the person, if I did the person, let's say I don't want to make him like put his face in his crotch. So if I did the guy there, and his spine is there, his arm is here, and the hand, like that. Then you have more of a front angle high thing. Front angle high thing. What are you saying? And of course, you see the underside of the doorway because looking in the doorway, and his hands are outside the door. He's looking down too much, but yeah, higher ears. I got too crazy with the time for this. Okay, so recapping, worm's eye view is going to be looking down. And let's compare these three while I'm pulling these pages back. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And this is something I say about learning to draw. You have to draw over and over and over and over again, and then you'll get it. But when you draw, don't try to make it perfect. Don't try to make it perfect the first time. Just draw it. And then once you learn this angle, try to move it to the side a little bit, or try to, more from the front, or, different angles using the same thing. And that's how you really learn how to draw, just by doing it continually, to do it over and over and over again. So again, worm's eye view, you're not going to see your ground. You're going to see, here's Mr. Worm. You're going to see the bottom, not the bottom. The ground is going to be way, let's say, down here somewhere. You can't see the ground because the camera is not underground. It's going to have to go back at an angle. When you lean it forward, you're going to take away from that worm's eye perspective. That's why you have a lot of buildings that usually upshots are a lot of buildings. If somebody is taller than the person, they'll usually use a front view, or they'll have to lean it, which is just going to make the person a little bigger. And you can only pull in so close unless you're not going to have your other character seen. If you're not going to have your other character seen, then you might be able to do more of a front, using more shadow. That's going to be the whole thing. You'd have to use a lot more shadow to, make the person look scarier or more dangerous. And I'm not going to sit here and shadow this whole thing, so that, that makes the person look, because you're up under him and the light is coming from above here. So you won't get that. And yes, this video is getting long. Yeah, however. Okay, so bird's eye view. Bird's eye view is going to be the same thing, turned upside down. Turned upside down. That's it. Instead of being from the bottom, you're going to be from the top. So if this was the bird's eye view, I would do this, 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 and this. And there's the top of my building going down and you will always see the ground from the bird's eye view. So this is my street here. This is a street coming this way, connecting with that street. And then could be another building over here going back at the same time. So that's all it is. You just have to reverse it. Now, by reversing it, you're going to have to draw the character. You know what the character looks like from going down. So if I am going a bird's eye view, which basically, as I say here, you have your person. Like that. You have a bird flying overhead. And the bird is carrying a camera, or nowadays we have drones. So however a drone is, I don't own a drone yet. I want to buy one, but too many trees in my backyard. So yeah, you're just looking down on the person. So to look down on a person, you have to understand what the the torso looks like. Again, we have the torso, the head, shoulders, delts, arms, like that, and your waist. So you're taking this ball here, this circle, and you're looking at it from the top, which is not going to be just a circle from the top with a head on it. That's a snowman. This actually goes like that. It turns more into an oval, like that. Now, it depends on how much of a down shot you want to use, and most times people don't use down shots like this, to where you're just seeing over top of them and you're seeing the feet, and this is the head, this is the back, and this is the arms, like that. Most times you don't do that. So it's going to be usually at an angle. So instead of the drone being right here looking down, it'll be either behind him or in front of him or the side of him looking down. So to do that is basically what we're doing down. We're doing down shots, Brian, down shots. So the same way with the pole. I got to give you these examples. Here's your pole, and your pole is going down. Now, if I angle that more, make that ball a little bigger. If I angle that over, the pole is going down this way. If I angle it over a little bit more, the pole is going down this way. So the same thing you do with a person. You know, if the camera went directly above it, this is what you would see. You would see just the ball. Now, if the camera moved a little bit forward, you'd start to see just a little bit of the pole here. A little bit of the pole all the way down. If it moved a little bit more forward, you would see a little more pole, a little more pole, a little more pole, like that, just by rotating. So the same thing with the person. If you moved a little forward, you're going to see this. Okay, you're making too many lines. You're going to kind of see this. Here's the head, and you're going to see some of that. Same way you saw just a little bit in the pole. Okay, here's a circle. You see a little bit of that. To move forward more, you see a little bit more, a little forward a little more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until you see that whole pole at that angle. So that's the same thing. You see a little chest. You move out a little bit more. You see a little abs. You move out a little bit more, then you see more of the crotch. You move out a little bit more, you'll see the legs. And that's about as far as I want to go with the moving out of the person. It's a more leg, and then the foot. And then you always have your arms doing something. Like that. So basically, learn from the top, learn the shape this is going to take, and then as you move out more, you will see more front of it. Chest, abs. And the head is going to go back. Instead of the head being here, the head is going to start going back. And you'll see the neck as well. You're always going to see these little delts here. And then the arms, depending on if your arms are out or straight down. And all these are cylinders. And as I said, I'm going to do a cylinder video probably after this one. Because I'm showing you, if you notice, if I didn't draw a stick figure or the little point figure like this, I drew circles and then other circles and then cylinders. I always connect my cylinders. That way you know it's right. That way I know what angle. Because if I'm looking into the cylinder, if the cylinder is going up, I'm looking into that cylinder. If it's going the other way, connecting, I'm not looking into this part. I might be looking into this part. And just by doing your cylinders, you get it right every time. And then you see that I split down the middle. Here's the chest line, and then the U for the stomach, and then the head. If I'm looking up, I'll see the bottom of the chin. The eyes are going to be here. The nose is going to be there. The mouth is going to be there. The neck is just another cylinder. Right here, that's a cylinder. There. Then you have your upside down house. And then your legs again are just cylinders. Like that. Cylinder here. We'll put the knee. Cylinder there. However, he's jumping up. He's going for that dunk. He's going for that dunk, young man. He got the rock in his hand. He's going for the dunk. Put that leg up here. If you need to put that circle for the knee so that you can know where to put that other cylinder, like that. Like that. And then the foot here. That foot is just as wrong. You see the front of the foot. You're not going to see the back of the foot. And you got the ball up in here. You're going for that dunk. However you put the hand, how do you hold your hand when you go for a dunk? I don't know. I could never dunk a ball. So, but just by using cylinders and circles, that's all a body is. If I get you to understand how to do that, then you'll be drawing in no time. Then you come back with your pencil or your pen, and you say, okay, give them more lats, because that when I do the beetle, it comes up here from the side. Chest goes up there. Bring that up a little bit more. Give him some lats. Give him his lats. Give him some stomach. Connect all these arms. Take all these pieces out. Remove all this. Yeah, so we're not doing an anatomy video because this is going to be probably about an hour, and I didn't want this thing to be an hour. So, bird's eye. So, you're going to have a point, doing a perspective, you're going to have a point where everything goes to. So it's going to come out like this. So let's just say I did a building. Here's a building going down here. Like that. Here's another building going down here. Here's another building. Let's do this here. Pretty much everything's going to come to a point for that extreme down shot. So if I had a person here and he was talking to another person, let's just say this is the point. So this person is going to be over here. So he's going to come down this way here. So put his head here. Give him some chest or a little bit of where you see the stomach. Your feet. His feet are going to come down here. Let's bring his feet out a little bit more. And then shoulder. The delts. Somebody got on me about that. I already knew what the delts were. He obviously didn't look at my videos because I'm always saying the delts. And that other person is going to be like this. So you have two people talking to one another from that extreme down shot. Shoulder blades. I need to turn this upside down. And do that if you have to, so that you can kind of get it right. Kind of get it right so you can get it right, period. And just, you're putting a cylinder on top of a cylinder, under a cylinder, under a cylinder, on top of a cylinder. That's all it is. So you got your two people talking like that from an extreme shot. Now, the bird's eye view also, and something I should have mentioned in the beginning, is what's the word I'm looking for? It takes you out of the action. You're not part of it. You don't feel anything. Same way with when you saw the neighbors fighting across the street, because you were way across the street, it didn't affect you. But when she came and she got behind you for you to hide her, then that affected you. So the bird's eye view takes you away from any danger, so you don't have to be involved. You still see it, but they're not going to reach you because they're way down here. So whatever they do does not affect you. So that is usually what they do for the bird's eye view, other than establishing a scene. Like when you first go to a movie, they have the city. They show the whole city, from above. Now that everybody has a drone, so basically it establishes the shot, the scene. Okay, this is where I am. I'm flying over New York City. That doesn't bother me because I'm not down in the alley with the guy that's getting robbed. I'm flying above that, so there's no emotion connected to that. It's only when I get close to somebody does the emotion start to come out. So anytime you do an above shot, like you're doing like apartment or something, somebody's apartment, and let's just say, just throw some squares for some furniture. Here's a wall, here's a door, here's the other wall, here's some whatever furniture in the guy's apartment. Here's this and a little sink. What's the sink doing in the middle of the floor? I don't know. So here's a guy's apartment. Here's one guy coming into the room. Here's another guy that's already in the room. And then you're up here. This doesn't affect you. He's talking. Hey, Jack. Hey, Billy. You know, this doesn't affect you because you're not part of that scene. You're just kind of like a spy looking in or looking down at what these guys say. But now, if the next scene, let's say your next panel is you coming down, and I'm trying to let's just do this. You're coming down, and now these guys are talking. Now you're kind of getting into the scene. You kind of, you're getting close. You're quite not part of it yet because you're still kind of above it, but you're starting to pull in that little emotion because he's talking something like, oh, you got the drugs? Oh yeah, I got it, man. I got it right here. So then the next scene is this guy. Let's just say this. And I never could really do that kind of thing. He pulled out a gun. Okay, I'm not going to. He pulled out a gun on the guy. And he's like, okay, hand over the drugs. There's his hand. His hand with the thumb's going to be on the outside. Give me the drugs, dude. Give me the drugs. Like that. So now you're in it. You're in the mix right here because the gun is pointed right at your face. So that brings out the emotions. Or that starts to bring out the emotions. Even though you are just flipping the pages, when you flip it and then the whole page is like this. This is like the big splash page, and you have like the lines, the little action lines that come out. You're like, oh snap, this guy, he about to get shot, but it's aiming at you. So that pulls just a little emotion from you. And then if the next panel is like the guy did get shot, let's just say his head is going back and it's like, bam, some of his brains are out because but you're still close. That arm going to be like that, like this, and like that, and like that. That still pulls emotions out because you're close. If it was far away, if it was like, here's the one guy like this, and he's aiming the gun, and he shot the other guy, you'd be like, oh, okay, he just shot that guy. But because you did close up, finish drawing that, yeah. Because you did a close up of this, that pulls a little more emotion. So the closer you get to it, the more emotions you're going to pull you out of. So this video is going long. So let me try to pull out some key points here because I don't want to do a part two. I'm just keep on going. Yeah, bird's eye view takes you away from the emotions. So when you think about your panels, which one do you want? Like, it's the less emotionless. Which one has more emotions in it? It also establishes, like I said, it also establishes where you are. This could be your first panel or your second panel. Okay, he's in the bedroom. He's in the guy's bedroom or bathroom or wherever. So no emotion there. As you come down to this panel, which is almost a normal view, you bring it down a little bit more. It could be a normal view. Then you're into it. Then when you go for more, the upshot, then that makes you powerful. Because this guy well, this is the normal view right here because he's right in your face. This is still kind of a bird's eye view because you're looking down. Because when you're going down, your collarbone, if you can see the back of it, if you see the collarbone is a diamond like this, then you're still above that person. So same thing with the back, like that. Now this is the normal view because you're in the guy's face. He's smiling. Yeah, give me the drugs. I'm going to kill you. And then when you get, if I drew that guy up with the gun, that takes away the power. But if I'm aiming a gun above, let's say if I'm drawing up like this, and then the gun is here, it pulls you out of the emotions. It just takes you away from, here's his hand, like that. It takes you out of the whole game. And his hand, thumb is on the outside. Thumb's on the outside, Brian. And he's like, give me the drugs. So he's above you. He's got more power, but you are not being pointed at. The gun is not being pointed at you. So it pulls that emotions away from you. Even though, you know, I could like this. Now, it'll be hard to do the other guy here. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it, you know, it's kind of hard to do that, to do the other guy here. And then you're also taking away from this cat right here, because they have to be in your face. If I turn them to the side, it's less emotions. Like that. So there's your worm's eye view like that. And as I say, you can't, once you get past that camera, it's going to start curving down and you can't see the feet like that. So it's best to like cut it right there. But as I say, if I put this guy here, you're taking away from like the hand being up. He wants his drug. Give me those drugs. You won't see that. If I pull them apart a little bit more, that takes away from the tenseness of the scene, because he's not in his face. One guy's, you know, right here, and the other guy's like way over here. Even though he has a gun, that changes the whole gun angle. I can make him big like this, and I can make this guy small like this, and the gun is still here. I mean, he can still shoot the guy. Technically, he can still shoot the guy, but because it's so far away, it just doesn't really work to pull the emotions out, because the guy's too far away, because he can, you know, jump behind some furniture or something, because he's just too far away. But when he's close like that, there's not much he can do. And then, as I say, if you have the bird's eye view of the thing, the worm's eye view of the thing, and forgive me for pausing because I'm trying to figure out how to draw that hand upside down like this. Somehow I'm thinking that the fingers are different. The fingers are not different in the same way. Here's the butt of the gun, and then the arm here. Yeah, forgive that. So again, it takes you away from it. So one more time with the key points, and I think I'm going to end this. Yeah. Normal view, you're right there with the person. You're right there in the midst of it all with the person. He could be talking to himself. You know, oh, damn, all this traffic. You know, I hate this traffic, you know. So, but you're still right there outside, passing the car, walking. You hear the guy. What was the other one? Bird's eye view or worm's eye view. What did I do with all those papers? You're below the person. Depending on the angle you have to turn. Where's my thing? Yeah, like the worm, you're below the whatever you're doing. You can't see the ground. And the bird's eye view, the worm's eye takes the power away from you. So anytime you do that, you give more power to the structure or the person that is above you. Bird's eye view takes you completely out of the whole game. There's no feeling, because they can't touch you. They're not reaching you. They're not aiming at you. They're not pointing at you. They're not paying attention to you, because you're way above them like that. So try to use those 3 angles to pull out emotions in your book, and then you will be able to see, you'll be able to have a better story. Regardless of how good or bad your art is, if you can use those 3 angles to their maximum, then your book will be really good. When the person closes that book, you'll be like, man, that's good. Let me go look at this thing again. He'll open up just to look at 1 or 2 pages, key pages, because it just drew out your emotions. All right. Yeah, finish that one. I will see you guys in the next video. And before I go, I want to say, leave a thumbs up. Now, usually my videos get about 400 views. So that means there are about 300 faithful, loyal people that always watch them. So if you 300 people will hit that like button, then I'll have 300 likes, and then YouTube will see that, and then they'll say, oh, okay, let's feature this video, because a lot of people say, man, your videos are underrated, or how come you don't have more subscribers or more views? Because YouTube doesn't see that these are good videos, because only a few people will give me a thumbs up. So hit that thumbs up, that like button, and hit the subscribe, and then hit the notification. That way you'll know whenever I put up another video. But for you 300 faithful few that are always there, because I always go to 300 and then it starts to slow down, Thank you for that. Thank you for staying with me. And you are the reason that I'm staying with YouTube for the time being. Because, yeah, I'm not getting rich off YouTube. I'm just doing that because you guys are writing me saying, man, you have helped me so much. Thank you very much. That's my reward. So I'm blessing you guys and you're blessing me by letting me know that I'm blessing you. So with that said, class is dismissed. I will see you later. Let's go ahead and do that slam dunk. Here it is right here, baby. He is over the net. Yeah, boy. All right, I'm out. Later.